So what are our layers? The bottom layer. This is layer 1 is the physical layer. That's the actual cable. Okay, so this might be a fiber optic cable. It might be a unshielded twisted pair. And that's what these are. Unshielded twisted pair. Just so you know. We can have here wireless. That could be radio. Okay. There's other physical layer stuff. I mean, I can't see wireless, right? It's still, in networking, that's still a physical layer thing. The NSA has been experimenting. You guys know they're hard at work with this stuff. They do an ultrasonic. That one's awesome. That's like really high-pitched sounds. And what they want to do is, if someone has a computer that's not connected to a network, like with a plug or a wireless connection, they still want to be able to hack into it and communicate with it. So they program that computer to broadcast and listen to ultrasonic sound waves. Come on, that is so awesome.
They can just pick that up on a port. So it needs a physical receiver for that, right?
Yeah, so it'll have, most computers have a mic, right, and a speaker. And so they can do it through that. Infrared receivers the same way. That's another physical one that you may not know about. There's also ones, even that where we were doing vodka, remember the vodka that went, so that's another one. We'll just put etc. Okay? So layer 1 is the physical layer. This connects adjacent devices. Okay? But these form the whole network, right? The physical layer connects everything together. Whoops. So if I'm going to connect here, we already did this, right? Over to this other device. If I can do this, that's not going to stand up. Whoa. Okay. Shoop. Click. Physical layer connects the devices together. So these are now adjacent devices, right? Just like my PC, if I plug it into here, that becomes an adjacent device. And I can connect switch after switch after switch in a long line. So the physical layer is how we connect everything up. Okay? What do we need to worry about there? Yeah, I'll tell you this too. These handle bit by bit transmission. Okay? So at the physical layer, it's just one bit at a time. There is generally, you guys remember our protocols? There is not going to be a connection and it's not reliable. Okay? I'm just sending a bit as it goes. I send the bit. It might be a bit now and then I wait a little bit for the next bit. Although usually it's supposed to be bit after bit after bit after bit. But there's no connection here. It's not reliable. It's just bit by bit. Not checking for errors at this layer. Next layer. So that was physical layer, layer 1. Our layer 2 is the data link layer. Okay? This layer does, is this connections? What am I saying here? Transmission across a subnet. Okay? And remember, this is, we already talked about this was devices or switches. So the data link layer gets us across our subnet. Now I'm just going to draw pictures from now on. I had a switch, but there's nothing to see on a switch about how it actually works. So what happens here is I have my computer, and let's say I need to get to a router. Well, we'll get to our server, sorry. I need to get to my server. I understand I need a physical connection. That needs to go to a switch. I'm just going to put a little S on there, but you guys can't even see it. I can connect to another switch, just as I showed you, your hands-on would work. That can connect again to another switch, and then the server could be plugged into there. Okay? So each link here is a physical link. The cool kids put PHY. That's what they say. So this is a physical link. Remember, this is an access line. This was a trunk line. You guys remember that stuff too, right? Access line, trunk line, access line. But it's all a physical link. I'm transmitting ones and zeros along here. But what I do is I organize it into a frame. I'm going to put red on here. Okay. And an Ethernet frame has a header and a trailer, and then it has data. The data, or in the header, it tells it the destination on the subnet. Okay? Once you know it, everybody has addresses, and there's a bunch of them, but we'll worry about those in a little bit. But so here, I'm going to send a bunch of bits. The switch looks at it, and it sees a frame. In the frame is the destination address. So the switch has to decide, yes, there's other computers connected in here, and when it gets to this switch, it needs to decide where is that going. I send it out that port or that wire because that's the only wire I've got. The switch has to pick which wire does it go to, and it needs to know this is the best wire. This switch will also potentially be connected to other stuff. We did that, right? So there's all sorts of stuff coming off here. There might be other switches. There might be a router. There's all kinds of different stuff that might be out here. And every switch along the way needs to pick the correct port to send it out. The overall path is what's called a data link, and that's why this is the data link layer. I'll bring these back over. This one's better. This doesn't have the wireless on it. Okay? So, remember switch, 1, 2, 3, 4 ports here. All along the way, the switch has to decide, okay, something came in here, I need to send it out, and which one of these ports do I need to send this out again? Which one of the ports are the bits going to go out? Ooh. There's a little bit of a lag. Whoa, that's neat. I couldn't figure out why this looking in the TV was so disorienting. You guys can't see it at the same time here. Like if I go whoop, it's like a latency. You guys can't see it. All right. Oh, so yeah. Each port is a different physical connection, and the switch needs to pick which physical connection to use. We are totally cool with that, right? Yes. That's layer 2, and that's what layer 2 needs to think about. Now, what's after 2? I'm sure whoever just peeped in wanted to say 3. And so layer 3, let me make sure what I'm calling layer 3 these days is called the internet layer. It should really be called the network layer, but that's why I always look. So, the internet layer, this is the idea of going between subnets. Okay, so remember when we talked about the internet, it was all those networks connected together? This layer is about connecting through all of those devices. So here I am in my, where am I? This is in Goranto. So here is Goranto, okay? We understand in here there's switches and there's lots of PCs around. There is going to be a router somewhere that will let me get off of Goranto and into another subnet. Okay? All right? If I needed to go just between me and this server, then I'm at layer 2. The layer 2 will get me to this one. But I need to go to, there's all these networks over here. So over here might be constant, and this maybe is the library. And we understand there's lots of other networks around, right? And this router here is sort of the glue that holds all those little subnets together. Now, I want to get to a server over here. They have their switches, lots of other computers. It's getting more complicated, isn't it? This is the big world, guys, right? So, what does that mean? Well, if I want to get through my subnet, I put a frame to the router, right? It's going to be my red pen. So I'm going to make a frame, and I'm not going to draw the frame, sorry. But the frame is going to tell the switch which link to use to get to the router. Okay? At the router, we open the frame, or we read the frame. We read the frame, and we're going to open up what's called a packet. And the packet has a destination address on it. And the destination on the packet tells it what subnet to go to. All right, you guys see in here? Now, we don't have that many colors. I don't know how many work. Let's try this orange one. So I got a lovely orange subnet. And probably on your TV that looks, well, that looks a little orange. Sorry. So this is one subnet. There's another subnet down here. I don't know. But the subnet I want to go on is this green one. And what I need it to do is get to that server. Okay? So the layer 3 is what the router uses to say what subnet it goes to. Layer 2 told the switches which port to use. Layer 3 tells the router what subnet to use. We're cool here, right? The router will take my packet and put it into a new frame. You can't really see it's green. It's going to put it in a new frame for delivering across the constant Hall network, and that's how it gets to its destination. I'm blowing your mind. That's what I'm here to do. All right, so the internet layer can get us anywhere we want in long distances. What's after layer 3? So layer 4. Layer 4 is called the transport layer, and this is the stupidest name I know of, but there it is. Some people call internet the network layer, which is probably a better choice. Transport layer is just a stupid thing to call what this is, but that's okay. Transport layer, make sure I can get this right. Yeah, we'll worry about that stuff some other time. Transport goes between the hosts. Okay, so here's me, there's my server, okay? And we understand there were physical and switches and routers and more switches, and then we connected to our destination. But layer 4 is what connects me basically to the application. Okay? What do we care about this? Okay. the transport, and we will worry about the, well, I might as well tell you right now. So my computer in my office, I can run mail and a web browser at the same time. On a server, I can run web, and I can run, for example, file sharing at the same time. Do your computers also allow you to run more than one application at once? Yes, they do. The transport layer sorts between the two, or the applications on your thing. So if I'm doing a browser here, the transport layer makes sure my web browsing commands go to the web server. So transport, we'll just do this through, transport. This is for getting a message to the right application on, on the host. Okay? That seems like a nice function, right? So this, the layer 3, got me to the correct host. That's just to the machine, though. The transport layer gets you to the right application on the host. And there's not a lot to say about layer 5. This is the application itself. And the application gets the message and we'll just say processes it. Right? So ultimately, where's my people? Oh man, losing track of everybody. Ultimately, I want Bob and Alice to be conversing together, right? So Bob and Alice are applications and they're running along. Bob and Alice don't have to think about all of the other things going on down here. Are we good with that? We don't want Bob and Alice to have to worry about that.